3i Atlas is both an interstellar object on a physical level, and it is also a galactic ship on a metaphysical or multidimensional level. And today I want to share with you how both of these are true, how this is possible, and what the mission is for 3i Atlas as it brings new teachings to us from interdimensional beings. Hello, my name is Allison Holly, and I'm a channel and an awakening guide. Part of what I've discovered my mission is, my purpose is here on earth, is to be a bridge between the spiritual and the human perspective. So when we talk about the human perspective, I'm talking about science-based things, things that are measurable. And when we talk about the spiritual perspective, I'm actually sharing with you what I'm able to see, what I'm able to witness through my mind's eye, through my channeling abilities, what I'm able to witness on different dimensional planes. It's just as real on these other dimensional planes as it is on the physical. And I really feel this call to be a bridge between all of those different perspectives. I think that it's very important to take the spiritual perspective and ground it into the physical, give us practical tips for how to use all of this spiritual understanding in our human perspective, because that's really what we're here learning. That's what we're here doing. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so let's learn how to translate all of this into the physical reality. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be sharing with you a channeling that I did with a couple friends. It's actually a recording that I'm going to play for you. And as I play it, I'm going to pause it and explain a little bit more deeply what I was seeing, what I was witnessing and experiencing. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you some physics, some human-based perspective on how all of these things fit together. So it's going to be really cool. Stick around to the end because this is going to hopefully blow your mind. It's going to really share with you a new perspective on why are we seeing comets if it's actually a ship? Or why is it coming in the form of a comet and all of these things? These are questions that I personally had, which is why I'm also sharing it with you. I was with a couple really beautiful friends recently, and I was thinking, why haven't I gone into this experience that we're having around 3i Atlas? Why haven't I looked at this yet? And so I decided, we were sitting around, I was channeling different questions, and I said, okay, I want to go into looking at 3i Atlas. Let's look at what's going on here from a channel perspective. So I'm going to play for you what came through. By the way, I did get quite emotional during this channeling because when I access a specific layer within those multiple dimensions, it feels like home. And so I do get pretty emotional in this, especially at the beginning, but I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. I want to actually go into the 3i Atlas channeling right now.
Do that.
Okay. This is the beginning of a whole, is convoy the right word? That's the word that's coming through. Does that mean like fleet? So I'll share with you that at times when I'm channeling, I receive phrases or teachings that I don't really, from a human perspective, understand. So what was coming through was that I was asking for specific language to be able to explain verbally what I was seeing. And what I heard was convoy, convoy over and over. So I said, I think I know what convoy is. So I asked my friends, what is a convoy from your perspective? What does that translate into? Oh, whew, it's coming through so strong. Okay. Well, and I'm remembering why I stopped tapping into this level because it makes me miss home.
Is homecoming here?
We've been watching you your planet for a while. This is observation. So, Three-Eye Atlas. There's a reason that we call it 3-eye, right? How have I never noticed that? How have I never noticed that? I want to share with you what was coming through here. So, in the moment that I tuned into the frequency and the energy of Three-Eye Atlas, suddenly me and my friend who was tuning in with me saw the same thing. How have we never noticed? Because, so the question was, how have we never noticed that 3-eye sounds like third eye? And the reason that I was able to see that was because they said, as I was tuning into this frequency, they said, we've been watching you. We've been watching you. And then boom, I saw, oh, like an eye, third eye. So it was it was really great. Me and my friend at the same time started laughing. It just occurred to both of us. And of course, it's some sort of scientific coding, but third eye. Yes. We're watching you. Yes. Atlas, we've been holding the planet. We're watching, we're holding it. Oh my God, this makes me emotional. But I don't want to cry and stop the channel. It's like I want to yell and scream like, we're home, we're home, we're home, we're home. It makes me emotional feeling it again. This is a council of elders. Here I spent some time just crying. It felt really, really good in my heart. I've just been being human, and it's like, it is fun. It is fun. I love being human, and it just it's like does not compare. It's like comparing a light bulb to the sun. It's like no comparison. And like it's a beautiful light bulb. It's like it's trying, it's lighting. Six. I'm hearing six. Compared to 6 nations, so it is six different interdimensional families. If I could get new words for the things that I am bringing through now. Convoy. Convoy is a good word. Do you guys know what convoy means?
It's like if we needed all of the boats going to Gaza right now is a convoy of boats. It's normally related to like trucks.
Okay.
It has a rather military connotation.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Tanks.
Well,
Sniffling a lot.
It doesn't feel warlike, of course, but it feels like we're coming in.
Mm.
It's a force field in a way.
Okay. So this is really interesting. When I heard convoy and my friends were responding what they saw a convoy was, what their interpretation of it was, you know, they were saying that it had a bit of a warlike connotation. And what came through was this is definitely not warlike, but it's got a lot of intention. It is a fleet. We are here. That was the feeling that was coming through. And that's why they were using the word convoy. There will be full visitation. There will be full visitation. And my heart's so just lit up right now. It's like what happened in E.T. Phone Home. His whole heart starts glowing. Like I feel that. So there's an observation. The reason that they're observing how we react to it as well. There's also people on the planet being activated right now in remembrance who will not allow this to result in war. And in fact, if needs be, depending on what dimension we choose to collectively exist in moving forward, this may be a visitation that only happens above the veil, so to speak, because if it's seen that the collective that's still more in the dense reality would be too warlike, it won't be visible to them. This convoy will come through and they may only meet some of humanity so as not to create conflict. Or no, they're saying not, it's not about creating conflict. To if collectively it's not available to be at peace, then it will be invisible to a majority of the population. When they come, the light, because of the dimensional space that they exist in, the light that they bring ideally creates unimaginable peace in the human system. But if we fight that, if we are at a dense layer collectively where we are fighting that expansion feeling, then it will cause fear and anger and destruction, like warlike projection. And what they're saying is it's sort of a glimmer, and they are working with there's a little bit about time here, or the collective. So what I'm curious about, and these look like white beings, like a powdery white with a kind of like the diamond shape head that tends to be more what we see as ET. And I just wanted to say that part. But the question that I want to ask is, in terms of like quantum reality, where there's infinite versions of our collective, how do we determine which one we're choosing that we will collectively agree to? Is there an agreement to one? Are there multiple? Can I get information on that? Okay, so if this question doesn't make sense, I was really curious. I come from the perspective and understanding and truth on a higher dimensional plane that there are infinite realities existing at once. And so how is it that we, and I know on a personal level and then also on a collective level, how do we choose which reality we are existing in? And the answer to that on a personal level is we bring our focus to it. We focus it and it brings it, sort of like coagulates is the way that I've seen it. So we've got infinite realities in existence, but I am in this one because my consciousness is most focused within this one. So I was asking this question about the ships. Why is it that these ships are coming to us within this level of reality? Because there was a feeling of these ships are coming to help us understand things on a higher perspective, sort of like, well, we need help and it is the time for that. And I wanted to know, I just wanted to understand, why is it coming to this level of reality? Why is it coming to this this choice point, this reality of all realities? All right, so we'll see. This is interesting. I've never seen it this way. They're saying there's only one time. There's only one time. And where humanity gets stuck is where we reloop and visit. We reloop and that's where we visit. That point within the time-space experience that gets stuck, that's where we visit. So that's why we have chosen this one. That's why you are conscious within this one. How can stuck exist if there's only one? They're saying it has to do with oneness consciousness. It's a gathering of all of it. And it's so interesting because it is coming through in Jesus' teachings. Like, we can't let one sheep go astray. We'll bring them all in. It's sort of like in shadow work, where if there's one aspect of you that's not integrated, you bring it in. This is energetically within the construct of oneness, shadow work. It's bringing in this stuck period, this stuck experience of humans on earth, and bringing it in. We weave it in. We continue to land in this time space moment and bring it in until you're ready. And this has been looped many times. This is the last one though. This time we make it. This time we get it. So I want to explain that last part. And this is a bit of an offshoot from really exploring Three Eye Atlas and what's going on there. But my curiosity around, I thought that was really powerful when they shared with me about the relooping process, that we get stuck because of the relooping, and it's a collective relooping. And the reason that they are coming is because we are part of the all. And so we keep being given opportunities to get it. And get it means to collectively bring ourselves to that higher dimensional understanding, consciousness. To exist in a state of consciousness on a higher dimensional level means that is our predominant state. I just did a video about timelines not existing, that it's a sacred spiral. So if you're curious to learn more about this, definitely go watch that video. But I guess I would compare this question and the guidance that came through to the scene in Doctor Strange. And I don't want to, spoil this, but if you've ever seen Doctor Strange, there's a part where Doctor Strange decides that to sort of defeat this big, I don't even remember what it was. Tell me in the comments if you remember this scene. But he essentially re-loops over and over and over with this big bad guy, part of the, universe, multiverse, whatever, and reincarnates. So this being kills him over and over and over again, but he gets them stuck in a time loop until his desired outcome happens. So again, I feel a little emotional explaining this part because, and I believe that it's in this channeling, but it may have been in a separate channeling that I saw that, we've done this again and again. So we've done this in Atlantis. We had the Lemuria experience. We have had many experiences as a human race on this planet where we have received these divine teachings, but we haven't quite gotten it together. And I know that currently, if you're watching this on this planet, it feels like we haven't gotten it together this time. It feels like there's more contention than ever. But this is actually the time, because there has been such a huge collective awakening. This is actually the time where we get it. And we do collectively move to sort of the next level. We do collectively understand it on a level that we have not been able to get to before, that we have looped. So and there will always be in existence where we don't get it and where we do get it. It's a little beyond what I can understand.
What about the earth splitting?
So if you didn't hear that question, my friend asked, what is this about the earth splitting? Because a lot of people talk about the earth is going to split into two. So that was the question she asked. Yes. The way that works in a quantum level is it's more like echoes. And when we gather it, those echoes split further and further, but the predominant energy gathers more and more in the center. But that's why people think that the earth is going to become two. It's not that. It's never been that. From the lens of duality, it looks like people make it and people don't. Because that's true. From the lens that these beings are operating from, that we in our higher form can see from, it's just infinite. It's infinite. It's not two. It's like infinite. And it is a gathering. It's like still, it's a gathering of energy though. And this is the last one. This is the last one. The reference to shadow work really makes sense. You go in and you integrate and you integrate. And this is the last one. We'll visit and be able to attune to different vibrational planes within the human experience so that many can see us according to their ability to see us. Many can learn from us. We're providing healing. We're providing teachings, support. There's far more than, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dimensions. They're saying yes, and within those, there's 12. Within each dimension, there's 12 layers to that dimension, or like frequency bandwidths within those dimensions. That's wild. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. As you heard, there was a lot delivered in there, and I've channeled more on it since then. And the predominant teachings that I've received around this are that there are, I heard 6. And what's interesting is I recently saw a video that there are going to be multiple comets coming through. And I think actually in this video that I watched, there was a total of 7, which would make sense if 3i Atlas was included in all of these different interstellar or comet type objects coming through the skies, coming through our solar system. What I heard, though, was that there are 6 predominant intergalactic family groups that are coming through to offer different teachings to different life purpose groups here on the planet. So, for example, people who really consider themselves healers, the Pleiadians are going to be working deeply with you. There was a teaching group that's coming through for people who are channels, which was really exciting for me to hear. They're going to be offering the next layer of teaching for channelers, which is really that as the planet changes, as humanity changes, channelers are, it's not really going to be necessary because we are all going to see ourselves as channels. We're going to understand that we're really conduits between dimensions, and there are going to be people who are still called to be more of that, and we will transition into peacekeepers. So we're going to be liaisons between different groups on the planet. So it will be sort of more of a governmental structure that we're going to be liaisons between these different groups. There's also a part of this group of teachings. There's a planetary family, we'll call it, that is going to come and deliver teachings for people who are really connected to Atlantis and Lemuria. There's going to be powerful activations around people who are a part of the Rose lineage. Now, you might fit into multiple of those because I have actually been initiated into the Rose lineage through my grandmother and working with her outside of her human experience. She's part of the Rose lineage and she's brought me into it. So anyway, as a starseed, this is something that's really exciting. This is our star family coming in. So there's many different groups of teachings. What they said was there's 6 different star family nations who are going to come in, each with different teachings for different life purpose groups here on the planet. Okay, so this next part is actually where it gets kind of fun for me, and I get to sort of explain and be the bridge between physics and our spiritual perspective. And in order to do this, I want to first tell you the reason that I'm looking at this is because of the question, why is it coming through as an interstellar object instead of just showing up as a ship? I want to share with you a video by a physicist, a really renowned physicist named Carl Sagan. And he explains this very well. He's actually using another person's analogy to explain what things look like in different dimensions and why it gets distorted between the dimensions. The way that I often explain this when I'm telling people what I do as a channel and how I'm interpreting between different dimensions is, you know, when you put a stick into water, it looks like the stick bends. But that's because we're viewing it from this perspective, and underwater it's going to look very different. We can compare that to different dimensional planes of existence. And why things look different when we look at it physically, you know, why is it an interstellar object when it's really a ship? Why is it showing up as a comet when it's really a ship? What about our sun? What does that look like on multiple different dimensions? So I'm going to pull up this video now and I'm going to show it to you. It's the best example. It's so, so good. And I think it's really going to help you understand why things look different in different dimensions and why it's all real anyway.
Let's imagine that we are perfectly flat. I mean, absolutely flat. And that we live, appropriately enough, in a flatland. A land designed and named by Edwin Abbott, a Shakespearean scholar who lived in Victorian England. Everybody in flatland is, of course, exceptionally flat. We have squares, circles, triangles, and we all scurry about, and we can go into our houses and do our flat business. Now, we have width and length, but no height at all. Now, these little cutouts have some little height, but let's ignore that. Let's imagine that these are absolutely flat. That being the case, we know, us flatlanders, about left, right, and we know about forward, back, but we have never heard of up, down. Let us imagine that into flatland, hovering above it, comes a strange three-dimensional creature which, oddly enough, looks like an apple. And the three-dimensional creature sees an attractive, congenial-looking square, watches it enter its house, and decides in a gesture of interdimensional amity to say hello. "Hello," says the three-dimensional creature. "How are you? I am a visitor from the third dimension." Well, the poor square looks around his closed house, sees no one there, and what's more, has witnessed a greeting coming from his insides, a voice from within. He surely is getting a little worried about his sanity. The three-dimensional creature is unhappy about being considered a psychological aberration, and so he descends to actually enter flatland. Now, a three-dimensional creature exists in flatland only partially. Only a plane, a cross-section through him can be seen. So when the three-dimensional creature first reaches flatland, it's only the points of contact which can be seen, and we'll represent that by stamping the apple in this ink pad and placing that image in flatland. And as the apple were to descend through, slither by flatland, we would progressively see higher and higher slices, which we can represent by cutting the apple. So the square, as time goes on, sees a set of objects mysteriously appear from nowhere and inside a closed room and change their shape dramatically. His only conclusion could be that he's gone bonkers. Well, the apple might be a little annoyed at this conclusion, and so, not such a friendly gesture from dimension to dimension, makes a contact with the square from below and sends our flat creature fluttering and spinning above flatland. At first, the square has no idea what's happening. He's terribly confused. This is utterly outside his experience. But after a while, he comes to realize that he is seeing inside closed rooms in flatland. He is looking inside his fellow flat creatures. He is seeing flatland from a perspective no one has ever seen it before to his knowledge. Getting into another dimension provides as an incidental benefit a kind of X-ray vision.
And this is why, as a channel, when I look from different or higher dimensional perspectives, I'm able to see beyond space and time. I'm able to see somebody's full life story. I'm able to see past lives, future lives. I'm able to see different dimensions within within a human's experience. So I'm able to see their higher self, their purpose, their guides in different dimensions. This is why, because it's I'm looking at them through the lens of higher dimensional spaces. I'm not looking at somebody on this level. I'm going into higher dimensional spaces and doing a full read, being able to look through all of the dimensions as to what the most pertinent information is for that person.
And his friends rush up to see him. From their point of view, he has mysteriously appeared from nowhere. He hasn't walked from somewhere else. He's come from some other place. They say, for heaven's sake, what's happened to you? And the poor square has to say, well, I was in some other mystic dimension called up. And they will pat him on his side and comfort him, or else they'll ask, well, show us, where is that third dimension? Point to it. And the poor square will be unable to comply. But maybe more interesting is the other direction in dimensionality. What about the fourth dimension? Now, to approach that, let's consider a cube. We can imagine a cube in the following way. You take a line segment and move it at right angles to itself in equal length. That makes a square. Move that square in equal length at right angles to itself, and you have a cube. Now, this cube, we understand, casts a shadow. And that shadow we recognize. It's, ordinarily drawn in third grade classrooms as two squares with their vertices connected. Now, if we look at the shadow of a three-dimensional object in two dimensions, we see that, in this case, not all the lines appear equal. Not all the angles are right angles. The three-dimensional object has not been perfectly represented in its projection in two dimensions, but that's part of the cost of losing a dimension in the projection.
So that is, from my perspective, the coolest way, the best way of describing why things look different with different dimensional spaces. So when we are seeing a comet, how can that also be a ship? When I looked at what this comet looked like as a ship in a higher dimensional space, and I'm sorry, I didn't actually retrieve what dimension I was looking at, but I saw a sort of web of light, all of these different vortices of light that were connected. And I saw that the comet was actually, or I'm sorry, I should call it an interstellar object because it's technically not showing up as a comet, but I saw this interstellar object in the center of it. So what we were looking at, what we could see on the physical level was actually more at the center. And that was, it seemed like it was almost powering the ship, but of course there's so much more to it that I'm still learning how to interpret it through my own human lens. But this was more at the center, and then the ship was this larger web of light, is probably the most accurate way that I could put it. Now, the other question that I have is, why is it important for us to see it as an interstellar object or a comet? Why is it coming through that way as opposed to just showing up as a ship? And this really came through earlier in the channeling that I had you listen to, which is that we as humans, we're not ready. We're not, we're ready, but collectively, we're still learning. We're still learning this. We're still learning that other dimensions even exist. I loved the example in that video where they pat him on his side, like, show us that other dimension. And he's like, I can't because we're here. And the reason that I teach channeling is because I want to show you. I want to show you that all of this is true. It's just beyond, it makes me emotional. This whole video makes me emotional because I'm like, yay, star family. But it just exists beyond our human perception. But it's there. And we can access it. We just have to sort of trust the process. So why would it show up as a comet? Why would it show up as an interstellar object? It's because we are in human form. And when something is alarming to us, when something is different, we translate it as something alarming. Now, a lot of times I'll do podcast interviews and people will ask me, it's happened in several interviews, people will ask me, well, what about disclosure? When is disclosure going to happen? And I have to remind people, the interviewers and the listeners, disclosure has already happened. It's been happening for years. We just don't hear it. In fact, it's happening a lot right now. We have government officials, we have military officials constantly at this point coming out and saying, yep, ETs are real, like we have them, we've been in possession of them for years. Why aren't we hearing that? Why isn't that something that registers? We can't conceive of it. And what's happening is we're going through this global awakening to where we start to burst open. We start to, instead of having this little shell that's just our human body, we start to open up to the consciousness that's beyond just the third dimensional or fourth dimensional consciousness. And we start to see and experience things from these different dimensional planes. So it becomes real to us. It becomes something that we can grasp because we're experiencing it through our own perception. And as that happens globally, we'll start to see more and more ships because it won't be something that we disregard. We can't actually see, there's so much science behind this, I'm not going to go into it, but we can't actually see what we are not programmed to see. And by programming, I don't mean something external like the government. What I mean is our programming based on how we have conditioned ourselves to be human in this lifetime. We only see what's normal to see. And so as you know, we're born into this world, and I've seen in channeling, I've been able to go back and see what did life look like from my perspective as a baby. It was totally psychedelic. It was multidimensional because there was nothing telling me to be otherwise, to see otherwise. And this is true of all of us. And as we grow up, as we condition ourselves to be human on this plane of existence, our mind is serving us. Our mind is helping us to only believe in this layer of reality so that we can have this experience. And what happens is we start to filter out all of that multidimensional perspective. And as we condition ourselves globally to believe in a very limited perspective, when things come in, even if it was normal for us as a child or as a baby, when things come in that are multidimensional, that exist outside of our regular scope of what we want to believe, what we've been conditioned to believe, it feels threatening to us. And this is why these ships are coming in as interstellar objects. They're coming in as comets. They're coming in looking like these other things, because it is serving us. Depending on what we can perceive, we will see it that way. And they have learned, they've been studying us, right? They are the watchers in a lot of regards. They are, because they are existing in different dimensions, they say, oh, I get it. Humans get really scared. Humans turn into warlike beings. Humans declare war. Humans destroy things that feel threatening because it's outside of the confines of what they understand. So let's come in and let's watch. And what 3i Atlas is doing is it is the watcher. It is coming in, it is cloaking itself behind the sun and watching how we as humans are responding to it. What I love is that I've seen humanity respond to 3i Atlas as, hey, we know you're here, star family. We're so excited to receive you. And of course, you know, there are other people who maybe don't see it that way, but they're still excited because it's this really cool scientific discovery. It's behaving differently than a comet. Does that mean that it's outside of our limited scope of what we can identify? And so everyone's witnessing it in a different way according to what we've allowed ourselves to witness in terms of multidimensionality. Now, I'll close it with this. They are bringing teachings. What is the benefit of coming in physical form, right? Because they could just come in those outer dimensional forms only to people who are able to witness it. But when they come in physical form, it has the effect of, it's sort of like being out in the ocean. If you've ever been, at a lake or in the ocean, when a boat comes by, a ship, when a ship comes by, it creates waves, it creates ripples, and those ripples will meet you on the beach. Or, if you're in a lake, you'll feel the waves crash over you. So these interstellar objects on the physical level are delivering codes. So as they move past us in physical form, they are washing light codes onto the planet that are much more perceptible. We're much more able to receive them because they actually exist in physical form. It is my intention that that makes sense. If, for example, astrology, right? As these planets, orbit, they move closer and farther away, they have different configurations. It affects us as humans differently. So we're starting to kind of see that, the moon and where the moon is and the phase of the moon. Now, the moon's a whole different story, but the moon itself, we can measure the effects in physical reality of what the moon does when it's in different phases, when it's in different locations in relation to us as humans. So all of this to say that the benefit of these interstellar objects coming and swooping through our solar system and nearby is that they're actually sending waves, and these waves are light codes of information. These light codes of information are helping us further awaken. It's helping us further understand ourselves and ascend to these other dimensional knowings and realities. Okay, I'm going to end it there. This has been a long video, but I was so excited to make it with all of the information that I have received. And I want to share with you, if you would like to learn more, if you'd like to work with me personally, I do have sessions available. Mostly right now I have coaching, so my one-on-one sessions are somewhat limited. But if you'd like to work together in that capacity, that is available. Check the description box. Also, if you would like to learn how to channel, that is a course that I offer. My Learn to Channel course has now taught over 100 students how to channel, and I would like you to be part of that because this is part of us ascending. Channeling becomes normal, becomes who we are. We start to see multidimensionally. So in the description box, I've got links to that course. I also have a workbook called the Learn to Channel Workbook, and that's an amazing workbook. It's got all the information of the course in the workbook. So check out the description box for all sorts of things. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.